Nash has 5 prior felonies and 3 pending court cases right now. Someone who neighbors say should not have been out on the streets.
Pay close attention to the young man in this footage. With a clearer view, he seems confused and very innocent, someone who couldn't hurt a fly. But deep within his heart lies a dark side. His name alone has become synonymous with a chilling tragedy. With a history marked by mental health struggles and erratic actions, Asamad's crime has not only captivated the public, but also left a deep scar on the people of Chinatown. Christina Lee Yuna was an innovative, calm, and peaceful person with a bright future ahead of her. She was a 35-year-old Korean-American Rutgers University graduate born in Canoga Park, California, who moved to New York City only a year before she was killed. Christina worked at Splice, where she was an advertising creative producer who worked hard to create beautiful and inclusive artwork and was remembered as a champion of AAPI representation. She was a true definition of simplicity and was equally loved by everyone around her. On February 13, 2022, at around 4:20 a.m., Christina was dropped off by an Uber outside her building in Chinatown after a night out hanging out with her friends. Asamad Nash, a young homeless man of 27 years, spotted Christina and secretly followed her up to the 6th floor of her walkway apartment, unknowingly to her. Immediately, she entered her room. What transpired next was a horrifying act of violence. Asamad assaulted Christina with such brutality that it left observers and investigators reeling. Despite Christina's desperate attempts to flee and seek help, Asamad tried assaulting her, but she grabbed a kitchen knife to protect herself, which he eventually used on her, and overpowered her, resulting in her death. She was violently stabbed multiple times in her bathtub. Her shout pierced deep into the quiet apartments of the entire building, which sent a shocking alarm to the neighbors, who eventually dialed 911. When the New York City police arrived, they were unable to enter Christina's apartment. They did, however, hear Asamad, who tried to imitate the voice of a woman and said they didn't need police. Investigators found Christina in a state that underscored the ferocity of the assault. The crime scene revealed a chaotic struggle, with evidence indicating that Christina fought valiantly to defend herself. Allegedly, the investigation into Christina Lee Yuna's murder was swift and thorough. Law enforcement officials faced the daunting task of piecing together the events of that fateful day while grappling with the disturbing nature of the crime. The investigation began with the collection of evidence from the crime scene, including forensic analysis of the physical evidence and witness testimonies. Meanwhile, witnesses who had seen Asamad and Christina before the attack provided crucial information. Asamad was the only prime suspect and was the last person seen with Christina through the footage provided by the landlord. Allegedly, Nash tried to get out of Lee's apartment through the fire escape, but saw an officer on the roof above him and went back inside. He was seen holding a yellow object in his hands when he had tried that escape route.
Black with a silk ski mask, brown and black jacket, black pants with stripes, black.
Eventually, the police were able to get into the apartment using some equipment. Meanwhile, Nash was found hiding under the bed with a yellow-handled knife hidden behind the dresser. Covered in blood, the officers took him to custody immediately at the scene, and later to the hospital to be treated. Asamad bluntly denied ever following Christina, let alone killing her.
I didn't kill nobody.
You didn't kill her because she was Asian?
I didn't kill nobody.
Why have you been arrested then?
Why did you do it? You have anything to say to the victim's family? Anything to say?
Asamad Nash, a man known for so many other hideous crimes about 7 years ago, has been on the run and was not new to being on the wrong side of the law. However, most people blamed it on his mental issues and stated he wasn't supposed to be on the street in the first place. Asamad's criminal record started with a minor subway crime related to selling swiped Metro cards and damaging Metro card machines. He was on bail reform when he broke out to the street, where he later harassed and killed Christina Lee. After being detained, he underwent evaluation at Bellevue Hospital. Prosecutors said he suffered injuries on his hands and shoulders in addition to a stab wound to his torso. Asamad was taken into custody on February 14th on charges of murder and burglary. A prosecutor said in court that Asamad was found naked from the waist up and had stabbed Christina over 40 times. The prosecutor stated that Asamad was on supervised release in 3 active cases, one of which involved an alleged punch to a stranger on the subway. He also had a long history of arrests from New Jersey and New York going back to 2012, though none nearly as many as this one. At his most recent court appearance on March 16th, Asamad Nash surprisingly stated that he was also a victim. He informed authorities that he was attempting to help Christina and blamed a man who, in his words, stabbed us up. Was he a victim, as he claimed, or was he trying to hide in his tracks? In court, Christina's father, Christina Lee, sobbed as he delivered his impact statement and said their family would continue to live in unbearable pain and asked for the maximum sentence. He blamed bail reform laws outside the courthouse for failing his daughter and the NYPD. To him, he felt the police delayed in gaining entrance into the crime scene for more than an hour since their arrival.
Police did not gain entrance to the scene of the crime until 1 hour and 20 minutes had passed.
Furthermore, Christina's aunt said the victim's mother could not attend the sentencing because even 2.5 years after her murder, her mother was still struggling to eat and she was gaunt from the suffering. So her aunt came instead because she said she wanted to see the face of the man who killed her niece, Christina. According to the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, Christina Lee was killed in an unthinkably horrific manner in her own apartment at the hands of Asamad Nash. He continued by saying that Miss Lee was a creative, kind, and joyful person, and her death was not only devastating to her family, but had a lasting impact on the entire community. Some residents in that area spoke about how they had been living in fear of the unknown as they were constantly attacked by different strangers.
She opened the door and he just slipped in right behind her. She never even knew he was there. She walked up 6 flights of stairs and this man mercilessly stalked her.
You know, I'm angry. I'm devastated for this woman and for her family. Devastated. Heartbroken for everybody in the building.
This is about the community, and our elected officials need to do something much different because this was all avoidable.
Meanwhile, the Lee family has filed a lawsuit against the NYPD, and the department declined to comment, citing pending litigation.
Who's going to bring her back? Nobody. Nobody going to bring her back.
2 years after Christina Lee was brutally killed by Asamad, a verdict was served. On June 18, 2024, Asamad pleaded guilty in New York State Supreme Court to first-degree murder and first-degree burglary as a sexually motivated felony. However, since May 2021, this would be his 8th arrest. Following an extended trial, the jury rendered a decision. There was a mixture of relief and sadness with the verdict. After fatally stabbing 35-year-old Christina Lee inside her Chinatown apartment in February 2022, 27-year-old Asamad Nash was sentenced to 30 years to life in state prison with the possibility of release, according to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, Jr. While the conviction provided a measure of justice for Christina Lee's family, it also marked the tragic loss of a young life and the complexities of dealing with violent crimes influenced by mental health issues. Now, you might be wondering, was Asamad really a mental health patient, or did he deliberately kill Christina? On the other hand, Christina's father and her aunt had asked the judge to impose the maximum sentence, and the judge did just that, citing serious mental deficiencies that cannot be cured with medication. Asamad, whose hands were restricted from moving even within handcuffs, showed no facial emotion and didn't speak.
Whose hands were restricted even within the handcuffs, showed no emotions and did not speak.
Christina's father read a statement from the family outside the courthouse, saying in part, "Her murder was horrific, and no amount of sentencing can ever be of comfort to Christina, who died unjustly, or to her family, who are dealing with the consequences of unbearable pain."
The NYPD declined to comment, citing pending litigation filed by the family against the city.
Her murder sparked outrage from the community, raising concerns over how the city addresses homelessness and mental illness. In their statement after the sentencing, her family criticized bail reform for putting Asamad back on the street, as well as the police response to the scene. The family said it hopes to have a shelter named in their daughter's honor. What my family wants is not compensation. What we really want is for Christina's memory to be remembered and to prevent others from having a similar fate. Her father read, "That is why we are asking the New York City mayor to name one homeless shelter in New York City as the Christina Lee Memorial Shelter."
Lee's father says he would like to see the city name a homeless shelter after her so the entire city never forgets what happened.
In a statement, a City Hall spokesperson told CBS New York, "Our thoughts are with her family and loved ones as they deal with their tragic loss. We are committed to finding ways to honor Christina Lee's life." Christina's aunt, Boxen Lee, was in the courtroom for the sentencing, facing Asamad for the first time. "I want to see him. I've missed her very much. I've missed her. I'm waiting for her, whenever she comes, whenever I go to see her," Boxen Lee said. She said Christina's mother and daughter were too distraught to attend.
I missed her very much. I missed her. I'm waiting for her whenever she comes, whenever I go to see her.
Nevertheless, the case of Asamad Nash has profound impact on the community of Chinatown. Meanwhile, Chinatown as a community was greatly affected by the Asamad Nash case. Those who knew Christina Lee well mourned her loss, and her memorial services drew sizable crowds of mourners. Remarkably, the neighborhood rallied around Christina's legacy and tried to find solutions for the underlying problems that led to the catastrophe. In remembrance of the late Christina, flowers and candlelight were positioned in front of her flat. In addition, the case raised questions regarding mental health and how it relates to aggressive conduct. The case was utilized by numerous advocates to emphasize the need for improved mental health intervention and support programs. The tragedy served as a reminder of how critical it is to treat mental health problems before they develop into violent behavior. Additionally, the case raised questions about the criminal justice system's handling of cases involving individuals with mental health disorders. The legal proceedings and subsequent sentencing highlighted the challenges of balancing justice for victims with compassion and understanding for those with psychiatric conditions. As the community continues to mourn and reflect on the loss of Christina Lee, the case of Asamad Nash serves as a sobering reminder of the profound consequences of violence and the ongoing need for compassion, understanding, and effective intervention. Do you think Christina Lee would have been dead if Asamad Nash hadn't been placed on supervision release? Why will a person as dangerous as Asamad be released without a close watch?